We acknowledge that the Burbs podcast is taking place on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Coquitlam First Nation. We thank the Coquitlam who continue to live on these lands and care for them, along with the waters and all that is above and below. Welcome back to the Burbs. On today's episode, we have Gianna. And we're welcoming back Sebi.
Little crossover episode.
Yeah. Okay, so today we're at Lafarge Lake Town Center Park in Coquitlam.
Classic.
Does anybody have any memories here?
Track and field meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like elementary.
I was a big long jumper back in the day. Yeah, it was before everyone else grew, I think. But I was pretty slow at running, so I didn't really get much airtime in that way. But
you did it.
Yeah, I tried really hard.
I came last.
Yeah, I didn't even get the opportunity to come last.
What do you think?
I didn't qualify.
Oh, you didn't qualify.
Well, to be
okay.
fair, no. Like I would do like there were like relay and like 4 medleys. Like I wouldn't make it into that, but like for like short distance, I could exclusively do short distance. I didn't really fare super well, but I got like ribbons, like little
participation.
Yeah.
You got something.
I don't know if that was good for the ego or bad. Probably net bad. I don't know.
Not bad.
Net bad. Also the Light Festival. I feel like that's a big hallmark.
We were looking at like Google images of Lafarge earlier, and it looks beautiful.
It's actually a gorgeous park. Like,
and it's free.
And the orca, the like head, you know,
the bush,
the orca bush. No, it's actually really nice. And like there is, I don't know, from the soundstage, there's like you see over the lake, and right now like the trees are all changing colors. I don't know. I think it's beautiful.
It is quite nice.
I probably wouldn't have thought that several years ago, but I think it's actually quite nice.
Yeah. I mean, I remember this when I first moved to Coquitlam.
Mm-hmm.
These, like, the other fields over here weren't built, and they were just building them. So I remember, like, when I was like 10 years old, or 12, I came back from Argentina, and I came to play here. And I was like, as a kid, I had this realization. I was like, this is just free, because in Argentina, to play in a field, you have to pay. To even rent it out, you just have to pay, like, with your friends. But here, it's like, all this is just open to us.
I mean, we're here right now.
Yeah, we're just chilling. We
So
could play if
true.
it wasn't raining. So.
Yeah.
At no cost.
Yeah.
That's cute. I actually learned to drive in that parking lot over there.
That parking lot actually, I feel like hosts a lot of memories. Just like in high school, hanging out, you know.
I think I had I was
lot.
talking to Bronte and our other or somebody else, but the idea in high school that we had like parking lot.
That's
what you do.
No, that actually also came up on his episode. I'm gonna deep cut reference his episode. But yeah, no, like actually I feel like I kind of like wasn't here when that was really big in university. I don't know if you guys did that in university at all. Did you?
Like high school.
Like
everybody
school?
got their driver's license.
Yeah, I think the one over there is actually a pretty notable
You
one.
didn't do this,
You just
You
drove
look so
around in the parking
confused.
lot? What are we talking
So
about?
you just sit in the parking lot.
You just sit in the parking
just
lot.
vibe out.
Yeah.
Because the cool kids?
It's like such a suburban thing to do. I think
Or like a lookout.
like a lookout. I think that was a big one.
No, I want to say that's that's a
Panorama.
North American
Panorama.
Panorama lookout.
Mm,
No, like
thing.
up on
No,
the mountain.
I mean, living in the burbs, it is quite like stereotypical to be like, I know a spot.
And then the
and you
one
just-
question is a parking lot.
The spawning question is, it's a parking lot near a park. So it's like there's trees around.
Which is insane if you think about it. It's like, why didn't we sit in the park? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's like...
we were too cool for nature.
Yeah.
Maybe it is that thing of like, I don't know, like you're being here, there's so much nature and you kind of take it for granted just because you think that that's normal.
Oh,
Mhm.
100%.
But it's
100%.
not.
It's only
It's
hitting
kinda
me in
not.
these past couple of years, actually.
It's when I
Yeah,
leave.
right?
It's when I leave Coquitlam that I come back and I'm like, wow.
Just like not everywhere
Yeah.
has mountains and like such like...
Like the amount of greenery.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, it's raining today, so that's a little bit tough, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm just gonna jump into it.
Sorry.
What was your childhood like, Gianna?
In the sense that just...
I guess, okay, you grew up in Poco.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that feel different or like further, or did you feel removed from anything?
Well, actually, I guess like I kind of had like a pretty like I lived a little bit in like a bit of a bubble, I'd say, because I went to like a private Catholic school growing up in elementary. And it was pretty small. Like it was like there were 30 kids in every grade. And so in that time, like I went from that, I was in that school until I was in 7th grade. And so it was like the same kids in my class every year. And in like in a large way, I felt like I was so entrenched in like a community. But it was very much removed from what I would imagine like the rest of everyone I know, like from high school and stuff, their experience was like. Just because you don't get to know as many people, which at the time it was so nice to have such like a tight-knit group of people that you know and like comfort and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but
especially that age.
Yeah, it's so formative. But like in a way, I think it was to my detriment, just because like I ended up not going to like the feeder high school, which I'm very grateful for, to be honest. Like I think if I had done, I think I'd like I don't know. I don't know how much I would have branched out, which is maybe not giving myself enough credit. But when I left that school, I ended up doing homeschool for a year. That was my choice. Like I was put into like a middle school and I didn't really want to be there, and like none of my friends were there and all my friends were in the other school and whatever.
That's a bold decision.
Yeah, spoiled kid, I guess.
Yeah.
It wasn't really, to be fair.
It was purely like friends. You were like, I don't want
kind of, in a way. Like I was just like, this isn't what I'm used to, and I think at the time it was just such a big, I mean, now I think I take that kind of change as like an opportunity, but I don't know. I didn't think that way at the age of like 13.
Is homeschooling like just online school, or were you
It
too,
was like very
mom?
much, it was like, so my mom, but like it was self-taught, a lot of it. So like I was teaching myself a lot of
That's crazy.
things. And
I think that's pretty unique.
I wish I still had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you were equally like trying as hard, like regardless of the subject. You're
yes,
like,
always. Like
100%.
I just wanted what I just always wanted it to be good, I guess, which is like maybe again like to my detriment probably in a lot of ways, and like identity in terms of like academics definitely got tied into like a lot of that, like growing up and even into like high school and university and stuff. But
what do you mean by you always wanted to be good? Like academically, or like?
I think so. I think it's interesting because I never had like a pressure from like I never had like familial pressure to be super like extraordinary or anything like that. But like for me, I always had this like internal thing of wanting to do well in school, no matter like what the subject was. But again, like I think I'm very fortunate in that it was never super difficult for me to try and then also to do well. Like it was like I would try and
natural.
Well, not anymore. I really think I grew out of that.
How did you choose to leave homeschooling?
Well, I went to I went to the same high school that you guys went to.
Yeah.
That was like
Was it like you chose that?
I chose that.
That high school.
I
too?
chose that high school.
Whoa! How did you choose that?
Well, I knew that there was a good art program.
Okay. Did you do arts?
Yeah, so I knew that there was Jumpstart at the school, and at the
Could
time
you
I
explain
was.
what Jumpstart is?
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't actually know. I didn't do it, but I think it was like, to my knowledge, it was just like a program where when you in your first year of high school, it was like you did your, I guess, humanities classes, but it was like geared towards fine arts, I guess, or like visual arts more so. And it was like this thing of like you had the same, it was like a cohort. And so you'd have art class, and then you'd have I think 2 art classes actually probably, and then you had your English and your social studies with this cohort. And the idea was to like, it was just like a different curriculum, more geared towards like arts, I guess, than like than the rest of what everyone else learned. And so I was really interested in that because I wanted to go to art school at the time, and then I decided against it because I got nervous, and I think this was like a function of me having gone to that like really small elementary school. I was like, what if I don't like the kids in that class and then I'm with them for 4 classes? It was kind of like I don't know, which like realistically it's like it was 1 year. It wouldn't have been that bad, and actually 2 of my really close friends were in that program. So I think maybe if anything, who knows, maybe we've been friends for longer. Yeah. But so I just ended up doing general. I took like multiple art classes actually, just not in the program.
You're just a normie.
I was just some normie, yeah. And then I was kind of like, you know what? Accounting. That's the next frontier. Yeah.
Pretty common pivot.
Yeah. Sure, average. And so yeah, I kind of took that route instead.
So then, after, I guess, the credit union job, you decided you want to go into business.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come to that? And then out of province university.
Yeah, I guess kind of just like I got that job and I was like, oh, like maybe this is something I could do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never really thought about business. Like I'd always kind of thought that I'd go, well, at first I guess it was like more arts, and then I was like maybe more sciencey. And then and in a way, like I don't feel like I've ever had one specific calling to anything, and I've felt like I could be, yeah, I could just pursue, you know, different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, when I got that like more business centric job, I was like this feels like really good. Like I can pursue this and it can go super well. So then I applied to a bunch of business schools going into university. And like, I think I always thought that I would leave the province for school.
Mm-hmm. Was that like a goal? Like, did you want to leave purposely?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, I kind of just wanted to have a new experience, and I thought that I ended up going to university in Montreal, and that was a really, I say, formative experience. I was for a long time just really excited to leave. I think just like I just like wanted a change of scenery and just like, yeah, meet new people and stuff. And then I got there and I was so homesick. I like in a way that I just like couldn't really grapple with for a long time. Like I was just like, wow, like everything feels so uncomfortable. And I was like 18, 17 at the time. So I think it led to a lot of growing up in some ways, like, you know, like in the realm of still being 17, 18, like it's still pretty very young. But yeah, I for the first like few months, like I was like, there's no way I'm staying at the school. Like I was like this, like I tried to like look into like to transfer to a school here and like, yeah.
How did you like settle in or like get a better grasp of everything?
I made really good friends actually in my first year. Like I ended up meeting someone who became a really close friend. And we stayed friends like till the end of university. And I think just like, honestly, I just give it time. Like as with most things, I think like if you don't feel it's good at first, like there just kind of has to be a trial period in a lot of ways. So for some people, like it just clicks instantly, and that's so awesome. For me, I feel like I need usually a bit more time to just like settle into a new routine. But I think it's like now in experiences that I have where I know I'm making a big change or like, you know, things feel uncomfortable, I try to focus on the fact that that's probably good. You know,
that's a good mindset.
Yeah, it's easier
easier
than done for sure.
It sounds like a lot of your decisions are like informed by social aspects or like relationships. You chose to be homeschooled because you didn't have friends. And then you didn't do the Jumpstart program because you were scared that you wouldn't vibe with the people.
Whoa.
And then you were wanting to go home when things were tough in university. I mean, that's like valid.
You're like,
all of that's
and
valid. You are such a loser, and you can't do anything by yourself.
This is a surprise therapy session, actually. The cameras aren't rolling. That's just for show.
I guess I'm like curious, like, what is your take now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I recently moved to London, England, a year ago, and to actually be so fair with you, I was initially going to move with two of my friends from university. That was like a move we were going to do together. And I was going to move early last year. And it kind of it was coming closer to the time. And I just wanted to save more money because it's just a really expensive city. But then also I was like, I had a moment where I was like, I don't want my decisions to be informed so much by other people anymore. Like, I just want to make sure that I'm doing this for me. So that was a big part of why I chose to like stay back a bit longer, and I moved when I felt that I was ready to move. Go on.
Funny enough, like you and I talked about potentially. I was about to move to London.
I did not know that.
I think like what
so
changed,
sporadically too.
Because I was like, you know what? Because I saw Gianna after maybe like a couple years, or maybe like a little bit of not seeing you.
It was a few years.
And you were like, Savvy, and I came out. You were like, I'm moving to London, and I'm like, Ontario? Like, no, like UK. And I'm like, why? And you're like, why not? And I'm like, I was like, why not? I was like, that's such a. So I started planning it, and I think for me, I just got like an opportunity, and I started saving up money, and I had about like 20K. Because you said 20,000. I was like, okay,
such an
20,000.
arbitrary number,
Yeah,
by
yeah.
the way.
But I was
In
like, okay,
pounds, it's about 2,000 pounds. So
that's
Yeah.
the ratio.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I saved like a lot of money, and I told
You were ready, you
I
were
told my
committed.
parents, I told my friends. I was like, I'm going with Gianna. I'm going to London.
Wait, I do vaguely remember this.
Yeah. I told people,
Yeah.
and then I was like, I need to make a film. I just like prioritized that.
Ah.
So I spent my money on my first short film instead of moving to London. So
well, London's are always going to be there. So
London will always be there. Yeah. And now I'm in like a 1-bedroom basement suite. It was the biggest mistake of my life. No.
What was I saying?
I don't remember.
Oh,
you
you
went to
asked me the way my
Your
decisions are
decisions.
informed. I think that's actually a very astute point of you to make. And my brother actually has been schooling me a lot about that recently, being like, I think he's so philosophical and like everything he does is so like thought through, or not thought through. He needs to find like meaning in everything, and I think it's such we are so similar in so many ways, my brother and I, but so different in so many ways too. He's 19, and so he's like just like trying to figure out like what he wants from life, and I think I mean probably a lot of us are, but like he does in a way that's so different to the way I think about things, but he's very analytical about stuff, and he's like, Gianna, like I think that you, to your point, like he said something very similar of like, it sounds like you make a lot of decisions informed by like external environment, whereas like he does a lot of things that are internal. So I guess I'm like coming to realize that about myself as well, is that like, but I think moving to London has made me really reflect on what's important to me, I think.
Ooh, okay,
And
what's important to you?
Just good people, to be honest. Like I think that this is like not a hot take or anything at all. I think like maybe it just took me a bit long to figure it out, but like if you're not surrounded by people like who you care about, or like you can have a good time with, it's like a place is kind of just a place a little bit, and it could be the greatest place in the world, but I think that the novelty kind of wears off no matter how big the city or like expensive the rent in my case.
Are you feeling that now with London, since recently like a friend from your childhood actually moved out and is now, you guys are like, you guys live together? Like is that what made you realize it, or?
Actually, I think moving also made me realize, like, it gave me such an appreciation for Vancouver, and I guess specifically Coquitlam, in a way that, like, when I graduated from university, I was so, like, I just had the best time by the end of university. I had such an amazing time. And Montreal is just an amazing city. I had such great friends. And just coming out of that and being like, right, like now I'm going back to the suburbs and none of my friends are going to be there. And I still had friends here. Like, I'm very grateful for that and very fortunate to have them. But it was just like a very formative experience, and something so, I guess, unlike anything else, that I was just super downtrodden about it, I guess. And so when I moved back to Vancouver, a month after I moved back to Montreal for like I like found an excuse to go back. I like did this French immersion class. And I was really glad to be back in Montreal, because I was like, I wasn't ready for it to end, I guess. And then, yeah. And then after that, I guess after that, so I guess I didn't really talk about, I don't know if this is really relevant though, like.
Just go for it.
Okay. I did business school, like whatever. And then in COVID, I had this massive realization that I was like, I am so unhappy with what I'm doing. I was studying finance and like, I ended up graduating with like a degree in finance and strategy. But like in my second to third year, I was like, I don't like this at all. And it took me a while to realize that like I really just wanted to work in film or do something related to film. And I think that was like, I think by nature I'm quite creative. But I think because things that are quantitative come easier to me, like math and science, whatever, like that comes quite naturally to me, I suppose. So that felt like the right route to take. And creative things are like, even though they make me feel more fulfilled, it sometimes feels a bit more like difficult to get there. So I didn't pursue that, or like even consider the pursuit of that something that was feasible for a long time. And then I graduated, and by the time I graduated, I was like, I'm gonna work in film, and so that was like a really big 180, I think. And after I moved back to Montreal, I then briefly lived in Toronto. I don't even call it lived in Toronto. Like, I stayed in Toronto for 2 months and worked at a film festival, and that was like an amazing experience. That was so awesome. And then I had this thing again where I was like moving back to Vancouver, and I was like, I don't want to go back. I can't go back to the suburbs. I can't drive everywhere. It's really saddening for me. Which is like such like
So
oh my god. You know,
what
like,
you need is a really good public transportation system.
honestly, I just need to be able to bike everywhere, and I'll be happy. That's what I would love. Amsterdam. It's next stop.
Okay.
That was just, I pulled that out of nowhere for the record. That just, yeah. I just said a lot without saying very much, didn't I?
No. I think that was
you
very...
said you
You're
did a
good.
journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, you went business, then you dropped it.
I dropped it. Thanks. Yeah. I don't know. I think, and this is the thing with that is like, I did a lot of theater growing up.
I do remember that. Your musicals and stuff.
Yeah, I was. And I loved it so much. I loved performing. It was where I felt the most comfortable. I just loved, I guess, like sharing something that I enjoyed doing with other people. And I was super, like, clearly not very shy about it either. And I, like, just, like, it never really occurred to me to care what other people thought about what I was doing because I was so comfortable in what I was doing. And then that changed a lot when I went to, I mean, like, probably in recent years, I think I've become a lot more, like, shy and, like, maybe just a bit more aware of other people's perceptions or, like, concerned about other people's criticisms. I'm trying to get out of that, and it's been, like, a bit of a journey, and I think I'm not quite there yet, but I'm hoping to just really commit to, I guess, like, trying to perform again, I guess. So stay tuned on that.
Okay. How are you, like, so you're, like, more self-conscious, I guess?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I'm just
how did that, do you know how, like, that you developed that?
Honestly, I think it was COVID Zoom class.
Oh.
Interestingly enough. Yeah, I think because, like, in business school, you, like, do so many presentations. I never had it, like, public speaking has always been, like, I think, and that's just because of the theater thing. Like, it was just, like, always fine for me. But then when we went online for Zoom, in a way, I felt like it was so intimate, even though it wasn't. But it's like having your camera on, and, like, I was always so scared to, like, raise my hand and, like, say something, which is, like, the first time I ever felt that way, probably.
I don't remember.
I don't remember you
raising your hand a lot.
So embarrassing. But yeah, I just like had no inhibition whatsoever. And that at that point in my life, and I think just also mixed with it being COVID, and it was kind of just a depressing time in general. I, like, very much kind of closed in and felt a bit more. But I think a lot of it is just being out of practice, to be honest with you. Like, it's like people say, like, it's like a muscle. Like a muscle. Yeah, you kind of have to, like, work at it and stuff. So I need to break through that. I need to just, like, do something. And I've been trying to, like, really lean into, like, rejection therapy.
Ooh.
It happened to me the other day. I can't remember what. But I did something so embarrassing. And it was like, I don't remember what it was. But it was just, like, something where I was like, okay, that was objectively really embarrassing. But, like, actually, maybe that's a good thing. Because then I'll just, like, start caring less and less and less about what other people think. But it's never in a way of wanting to be inconsiderate to other people, to be clear. Like, it's like, oh, it's never like, oh, well, I can just, like, scream at the top of my lungs in a store. And because, like, I don't know, there's like a fine line, I think, of being expressive and stuff, or like not caring what other people think, and just, like, being rude, I guess. Maybe that's, like, the Canadian in me.
No, it's good to be respectful.
Yeah, true. That's just like a baseline thing that everyone should be probably. Yeah.
Okay. So the last time we spoke, we were at a friend's party, and you had I think you had just graduated. You told me that you were done with business or the corporate life. Even though like you like were so ambitious, you like girl bossed your way up the corporate ladder. Very respectable. Actually, yesterday I checked your LinkedIn.
Oh God, there's not a lot going on there, to be honest with you.
And
Please, you're like, actually, oh, sorry, I need to interrupt.
Oh, no.
He's overselling me. It's really not like that. Like, it really isn't.
Amazing.
Stop. Now everyone's going to look at my LinkedIn. I got to make it private now.
And you were like, I'm going to pursue acting. Like, I'm going to film. I'm moving to London. It's all going down. And I was also at a point in my career, I was working in tech, and I was like, I don't know what I should do. Like, I want to do something creative. Tech is, like, very nice and cushy. I was not fulfilled in any way at all. And I was just very inspired by how committed you were to just doing the pivot. And one major takeaway from that conversation, and I don't think it really meant anything to you in that moment, but it was to unironically live, laugh, love.
Yeah, I said that a lot in 2023, actually. Or 2022 to 2023, that was like a big one. It was like live, laugh, love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's become my little low-key mantra.
That's actually so, I can't believe that, to be honest with you. Like, that's so crazy to me. But it's true. Like, it's like, in a way, it's like, why not? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's actually very special. Also, I need to say, speaking of girl bossing, Josh is the girl boss, if anyone, not, like, of the two of us. Like, yeah.
One of our LinkedIns looks a lot better than...
And it's not mine.
I don't have a LinkedIn.
And that's the creative.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I actually wanted to... Oh, sorry. Did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to... Like, you... Okay, so you did the business. You girl boss, corporate life. Then you pivoted. What are you doing now? Like, what's the plan? What do you want to do?
So I've been in London for a year. And the first kind of like... Honestly, like 5 or 6 months was me just trying to find somewhere to live and find somewhere to work. It's really hard. Like, we're low-key in a recession right now, which, like, I think is felt globally, to be honest with you. And there's very few people who are very lucky who, like, don't have that pressure just because of the certification they have or, like, the work experience they have. And they're just like, yeah, like, I've got recruiters reaching out to me all the time. Like, that's just not my experience right now. But so I think I've been there a year, but in a way it just feels so much shorter because so much of my time has been occupied with, like literally, like, where am I going to live? And, like, and that's not a way of me being like, oh, like, am I not going to have somewhere to live? Like, I don't think that was ever a concern. It's just more like it's so hard to find a place in London because they have this thing, too, where you have to make 3 times the amount of your yearly rent. So it becomes quite inaccessible for a lot of people. And London rent is just really, really expensive. So it was very much like a chicken and the egg thing. But then it's like you want to find somewhere to work. But, like, how are you going to, I don't know, just, like, finding somewhere to work is also just can be really difficult. And I guess it's different if you have something lined up for when you move, but I didn't. I kind of just live, laugh, loved it. I just kind of YOLO freestyled it. Yeah, I did. And, like, I worked a few different jobs, some more related to film than others. I worked at a film festival in London, which was cool. I also did, like, this opportunity in film PR, which was really interesting. I'm kind of not really working in film at the minute. Like, there's little bits and things that I'm going to be doing, which are in film, which I'm excited for again. But I'm just hoping to, I really want to take acting classes, which I did last year in Vancouver, but it was just, like, not really the right platform for me, I think. I think it was just, like, it was a really far commute, and it was, like, after work at night. And so I just didn't really have the energy or the space, and it was just, like, once a week as well, so it didn't really feel like I was super in it. But I want to find something that's a little bit more involved. And I think for a bit of it, I'm like, well, what if I don't like it? And it's like, well, that's kind of the point, isn't it? Like, you determine if you do it, and then if you don't like it, then you just go to the next thing. But yeah, to answer your question, I think that's kind of why I was scared about being on your podcast a little bit, was because I'm like, I don't really have anything figured out. Like, I don't have the proof of concept of, like, what I did was the right thing.
But you wouldn't have known otherwise. I think you would have
myself,
doubted a bit. You were like, should I be doing what I'm doing?
I think I was always going to doubt a little bit what I was doing, which is kind of the catch-22 of it all. Like, I think I needed to move to London to know how I felt about certain things. Yeah. And I'm really grateful to be there right now. I don't know that it's necessarily, like, where I want to be long term for various reasons, but I'm very glad that I'm having the experience, and I'm trying to just focus on that as opposed to being like, well, if I stayed here, I could have saved so much money. It could have been, because, like, either way, it's like, I don't know what any other path would have turned out like, which you can really say about any, which could apply to anything, but I think that's a great thing, is like you just have to commit to what you're doing. And so I'm trying to get back into that, because for I think the last while it was just like very much like I was like, what's the next step, and I think that there is some merit to that, of just being like not focusing like 10 steps in the future, just doing like living in your day to day, and then just, you know, trying to do like build off of that. But now I think I'm trying to connect more with like what's important to me and what I value and what brings me joy, I guess.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
To be completely honest, I don't remember my question.
Okay, perfect.
So what are you doing now? And then you expanded with, this is why I was afraid of being on your podcast, because I don't have anything concretized.
Yeah.
And then you said, but you know, that's good. That's okay.
That is okay.
Yeah.
I'm here keeping track, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Abby.
Our moderator.
I had a conversation with someone about this recently, of being like, sometimes I think about, what if I did go the corporate route and I did just like make so much money in this last like 3 years, and I like, you know, was like, at least, which is to say that at least I could say I did it, and then I quit doing something corporate, and then I could, you know, safely pursue what I wanted to. But at the time when I decided not to like apply to like the rounds of like consulting and that sort of stuff, I just was like, why would I wait to start what I want to do? And so,
yeah, you know what you want. Ish.
To an extent,
yeah.
maybe it's like I just don't, I know what I don't want right now, which is equally important.
Yeah,
it's sometimes frustrating. Like, I'm so jealous of the people who, and I think of both of you actually when I think about this, as like people who know what they want and pursue it in the face of like any challenge, really.
Dude, Gianna Brown Tour is like jealous of us. That's so crazy.
But I mean it. Like, I honestly do. Like, it's just such a privilege to just know what you want to pursue, and you don't know how you're going to get there necessarily, but it's like you have such a clear bearing of what you want, which is just I'm so jealous. I think that's so awesome.
Okay, well, we are going to close, but the last thing you said to me, I looked through our text messages before this. It was like 2 years ago, a year ago. You said, hope the best for the both of us, and that we'll both get the F out of Coquitlam. What is your take on Coquitlam? Well, first of all, we are in Coquitlam.
Yeah, awkward.
But what is your take on Coquitlam now?
I don't hate on anyone who wants to be here. I think, and I don't think I ever did. I think for me, I didn't want to be here, and maybe I projected that. I just think, I don't think there's anything wrong with anyone who's like from here and stays here and anything like that. But I think correct me if I'm wrong, but at the time it kind of seemed like you didn't want to be here either, or like you wanted to experience something else. Maybe that's it. And then I think if I were to say a kind of similar sentiment, it would be less about getting out of Coquitlam and just like hoping that you find what you're looking for, no matter where that is, because it's less about like leaving. It's less about getting away from something and more about going towards something, which is like a problem that I have with what I said. And I think like, yeah, I think I was really hell-bent on like, I gotta get out of the burbs. But there's been times in the last year, especially, being in such a big city, that I'm like, I sometimes miss it being so slow. Like, I sometimes miss just like, you know, what am I doing today? Oh, I'm gonna hop in the car and I'm gonna get some groceries and then go for a walk in the park and just live like a slower life. Because like, it is true, London does move at such a fast pace. There's so much going on, but it leads to so much anonymity, which is good in some ways. Like, I think it's nice to be like a small fish in a big pond in a lot of ways. I think it's good for, various reasons. But I think that it also leads to a feeling of isolation sometimes. And like, it's very much a cliche to be like, oh yeah, I've never felt more alone in a big city. But that can be so true, and everyone kind of feels that way. Not everyone, but so many people feel that way. But it's so normalized And I think something that is so great about being somewhere like Coquitlam, something that's like a bit smaller, is that you have that sense of community. And but I think the thing with one of my biggest gripes with being here is I just feel that the amount of opportunities, especially in like a creative industry, maybe I perceived it to be lesser than in other like places, like in bigger cities. But like in bigger cities, it's also just, there's so much more competition. It's like, and to be fair, I guess Vancouver does have a lot going. Maybe, yeah. Vancouver has a fair amount going on.
Has a lot.
There's a lot going on, yeah. And so I think it's like the grass is greenest. The grass is greenest where you water it, probably. And it really is about, I think what I said before, of just like committing to whatever opportunity or whatever choice you make, just like giving it its fairest shot. Even in the face of like being uncomfortable, because I think in the last year I've been uncomfortable on so many occasions, and I've been like, I don't think I've ever been like, yep, I'm gonna pack it up and go back to Canada yet, because I'm like, it's not fair to myself to do that. Like I put so much effort into wanting to do this move that it would be unfair for all of that. And like things happen for sure, and like, I think it's justified if something, were to go wrong, and then I would need to come back, and I wouldn't, hate on anyone for that. But in my specific case, I think it's like worth me being in that discomfort to then grow more, probably. There was something I was gonna say. What did I say just now? Do you know?
Like
committing to it?
Yeah,
committing to it. Oh, okay. Interestingly, this is about the suburbs, I'd say, and more generally about Canada. I think, is it quite loud?
I mean, we can't really do anything.
Yeah. Fair.
just voice isolation.
Yeah, maybe talk a
little louder.
Yeah.
I think having moved away for university, and then having
wait.
Yeah, wait.
He'll walk away.
Okay. Or he'll walk towards us.
We can tell. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Thank
Oh,
you.
what a great man.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, he's high, and he's like
sorry. Yeah, that was really quite nice.
Oh, only in Coquitlam.
Only
That's what I mean.
Only in
Coquitlam.
Coquitlam. It's true. It is very like, and certainly not in Vancouver. People in Vancouver are not very nice, I find.
It's the burbs.
People say that. Cold,
so cold. In a way that I think people in London are a lot nicer, to be honest.
But you guys have that funny accent over there, right? Maybe it just sounds nicer coming from them, right?
Ooh.
Hey, love, can you move? Hey, can you
have
move?
an American accent.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, a lot of times people. Actually, it's such a thing for people to go, "Are you Canadian?" But they say that as like it's like to be safe. They'll say, "Are you Canadian?" Because they know that Canadians will be offended if you say, "Are you American?"
Oh.
But if you say, "Are you American?" If you would say, "Are you Canadian?" and it's American, they're not going to feel like outraged the way that a Canadian would feel if they were the other way around.
So considerate.
I guess so. Or they don't want to experience Canadian wrath. Yeah. But no, I think what I was saying about before, this is kind of not super on topic, but I think it's related to the suburbs, is that it was when the leaf blower guy came. Moving away for university and then moving away to another country, I feel very split in terms of not my identity, but what's home now. And it's kind of coming back to the relationship piece of like, I feel the most at home when I'm with the people I care about the most. But I feel like once you move, you kind of just part of your heart just like belongs somewhere else in a way that like is kind of sad, because I think no matter where I move next, like we talked about, where might we end up in the future? Sorry. Actually, sorry. One thing I didn't want to mention. Do you guys need to leave?
Okay,
Yes.
Speed run it. It's
kind of a big one though. Okay, we don't have to answer it. You mentioned about being Argentinian.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the point. Do you feel at all? Because this is like maybe something that I've had recently. Do you feel Canadian? Or like?
I guess it's like, what does it mean to be Canadian?
Yeah.
And I guess in that sense, yes.
Okay.
Because like, I don't know, when I picture a Canadian person, there's not like a single person I would picture.
For sure.
Like, I don't know what the American dude is with like the hat and he's like pointing at you.
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I would say like that's like a I guess that's a mascot, but like it's that energy that feels American to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what I would picture for Canadian. And so I feel like it's ambiguous enough for me to like associate with it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I'm like purely Canadian.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But then I also don't know what else I would be.
I know that like
Yeah.
right now with the way that like our political climate is, and you know the issues that the government has with the Indigenous people, and how like you know that whole kind of.
Yeah.
But what I've experienced is culturally, I have some things that are Argentinian, but I love the fact that I am mixed like mixed culturally. I like being Canadian might be some of my best attributes, like mixed with the Argentinian like charisma and just passion and very like out there that we have in Argentina, compared with like the respectfulness and kind of mindfulness that Canadians have. I think that's like what was taught here. It's just like it's a great balance. I'm very happy that I'm mixed.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's what I kind of wish I had, is like, to your point about like being like, oh, I feel so called to maybe live in Argentina at some point in my life. I wish I had that. Like, I feel like, I remember from your podcast episode that you spoke about how, like, Josh, you're like 5th gen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're really Canadian, like so entrenched, and I'm technically I'm 1st gen, born in Canada. My parents grew up here, moved here when they were very young, and like I only speak English. Like my grandparents never spoke to me in Tagalog. I'm Filipino for context. Just never did.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's something that I wish I had, and I could learn it for sure. But like in terms of like the way I identify, maybe not racially, but culturally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just like look at my other friends who are like Argentinian, or like my flatmate, she's Persian, and like she can speak Farsi, and like I wish I had that kind of tie, I guess, to like another culture, because to your point, like Canada is such a, you know, like a mosaic of cultures, which is so great. But I feel in that way, most people are mixed in that sense. Like they're Canadian
Mm-hmm.
and they're something else. But I don't know that I have that same connection to like my heritage in a way that I wish I had. And like it comes up a lot, actually. Like I barely, there aren't a ton of Filipino people in London. But every once in a while I'll meet one. And I like went into this bubble tea shop once, and I could tell that the family was Filipino, and they were like sat there eating dinner. And I was like, oh, like, are you guys Filipino? And they're like, yeah, we are. And I just felt like so comforting in a way that I didn't really anticipate. And then they go, oh, do you speak Tagalog? And I went, no, sorry, I don't, and I can't understand it either. And then they go, oh, well, you're not really Filipino then, are you?
Well,
And I was like, damn. Yeah, it was kind of, I was like, whoa. It's a bit surprising, I guess, but that happens a lot to me. And it's not that, it doesn't really like shaken me in terms of how I feel like I identify, but it is an interesting concept to, I don't know.
Like you're not Asian enough, or like
Yeah.
a certain like authenticity.
I think so. Like, I think I feel from what has been described, and I can't necessarily say it with 100% certainty, but the way that like mixed Asian kids feel of like being like half white and half Asian, and they don't feel like they're white, but they're not Asian. Like, I don't look it, but but it's like the experience of being kind of like, I guess, more like having a more Western upbringing and not.
You don't fully fit into one
Yeah.
box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, you should have been on my other project.
Really?
Yeah. It's about Asian Canadian identity. and the
Oh, I did know
diaspora.
that. I saw that. I saw that you was in Chantel, right?
Yes.
Doing that, and I was like,
Yeah.
that is so cool. I was like, that, yeah.
Also funded by TELUS.
Also fun. Thank you. Thank you,
Dallas.
I want to bring into this because for me, I only recently like last 7 years, 8 years have I been like choosing to try to connect more with my Argentinian side, because it is a choice. The thing with the Canadian is like it's a choice, but I'm stuck with it because I'm here. So obviously I will be around the culture and around the language. But it actually happened. Funny enough, I realized I was like, I feel such a certain way with Argentina because I was watching a movie that explored the Pope, and the Pope is Argentinian, and they talk about the history of Argentina. And in the 70s, we had a dictatorship that from 76 to 83, over 30,000 people disappeared. Most of them students that disagreed with the government, never found again, killed. And they explored that, and I don't know what it was about the fact that they were Argentinian and kids like 17, 23. I just started crying at this film, and I was like, damn, I'm like subconsciously connected with Argentina. And then I started doing more research. I've been out like trying to speak more because my vocabulary is not there, and sometimes I like trip up, and that makes me very like self-conscious. But funny enough, like I sometimes find myself having judgments where it's like, soy Latino, like you're Latino, and then it's like, yeah, but I don't speak Spanish. And I'm like,
Are you really though?
Are you really though? Because it's like we talk about what makes someone a Canadian, and there's no look to it, right? But you're Canadian. Like I look at you two, and I'm like, I look at me as well. It's like we're all Canadian because we speak the language and we know the culture. But it's like, so why are you Latino if you don't speak the language and don't know the culture? You just look a certain way, and your name is like, I don't know, it's Juan Luis, right? It's like that's what I mean. It's I find that judgment also happening to me sometimes. It's like because I've made the conscious choice to continue learning language and learn more about it. So I think like I see both ends where it's like, yeah, I don't know, because your grandparents are Filipino, you're Filipino,
yeah,
and then for a Filipino to be like, but are you really? You're like, okay, damn. But yeah. Did you see yourself like? Because I think that you say like, I wish I was more. I felt more of a Thai.
Yeah.
But that can
grow.
That can grow.
Absolutely.
It's a choice. Do you see yourself like doing a side quest and being like, I'm gonna live 8 months in the Philippines?
I don't know if I'll live in the Philippines ever.
Have
Maybe.
you ever been?
I've not actually.
I've never been to China.
Yeah, like I went to Southeast Asia last year, and I didn't go to the Philippines, but that was in part a choice because I really want to go with my grandma, and I want her to take me. So yeah, stay tuned. Like I want that to happen, but no, it's like that's what I mean. Like it just feels there's a big disconnect. But to your point, yeah, it could absolutely be something that no longer is disconnected. Like it doesn't have to
Rekindle.
Yeah.
This might be a weird point, but my father hates Argentina. He's Argentinian. He was born in a very bad, like he had a very tough life in Argentina, and because of the dictatorship and everything, he doesn't have very fond memories. And in 2003, the economic collapse, so the government stole like $500,000 from him, because they changed American money into pesos, and then the peso just tanked, and they're like, oopies. And because he does not have a fond memory, whenever I speak about going back, he's like, why? It's a piece of poo-poo. And on the contrast, my mom loves it. And my mom always talks about going back and seeing her friends. And I feel like because of the contrast with my mom and my brothers, them loving it, I have like this feeling I want to go. But I feel like if I only had my dad's voice being like, don't go, I wouldn't feel the same. And that's why when we talk about Coquitlam, the place that we were born in, like the place that we were raised in and most of our life, right? Some of us born. I think it's like there's value in seeing the good and seeing the positive, because when we were to have kids, if we have kids, it's like it's just good to have like a nice outlook at the place that you're born. Obviously, be critical of like the bad things, but just it's slow, but it's also beautiful. I'm not saying that neither of us think it's not beautiful. It's just like I do see the value of speaking positively about that, because I see in me. Like, I'm very weary sometimes, and I feel like I'd have a different outcome of Argentina if I only had my dad's opinion. But yeah, I just wanted to say that.
So true.
Yeah. Also, it's just like a way to close off this episode of like loving Coquitlam.
Yeah, I think Coquitlam's great.
I think it's great. I love it.
Sponsor us, Coquitlam.
I think I'll take the steps away, but I still.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think I for a while was like, get me out of here, like to your point of that message, like I was like, and this is not for me, but like I love going to the mall, like I just do. Like, on this trip I've gone to the mall so much, and it's such a safe space for me. Like it's just like I just like I know I'm gonna like I don't necessarily love running into people who I know, but it'll inevitably happen, or like the people working at the mall, I'm like I saw you like 8 months ago, and you know what I mean? It's just like, it's almost like there's some constants in my life, and yeah, whether it be Lafarge Park or like, yeah, Coquitlam Center, or in a lot of ways, like, there are changes that happen here, but so much of it stays the same, which I think for someone living in such a, like, in a city where things change so frequently, it's just so nice to have that level of comfort. So I completely understand, you know, the benefit of living here, and I feel so much appreciation for it.
Well, that's Coquitlam. Today's episode featured Gianna Buenaventura. Special thanks to Sabi Sarani. Music composed by Rachel Jiang. Produced with the support of TELUS STORYHIVE. I'm Joshua Louie, and this is The Burbs.